Hello, 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 and welcome to another live stream. The Aloha Classic starts tomorrow, and the whole windsurfing world is here on Maui setting up for the event. Hokipa is way more crowded than it normally is, and that's annoying. And I've been dealing with that by trying to get the late sessions. So getting to the beach at 4:30, and luckily it's been windy, very, very windy this season. And so the wind lasts until dark. Whereas normally at this time of year, the wind maybe starts to disappear around 5, but it's been super windy this season. Everyone is here. Everyone is pushing it. The level is so high. I'm very, very impressed. We've got a question from Tomas in the chat. He says, uh, good luck. How's the forecast looking? Who has impressed me the most in the warm up? Good questions. Forecast looks so. I'm not sure. Forecast isn't epic. Who has impressed me the most? I am surprised to say the one who's impressed me the most, and there's a few other guys that are really charging, but the one who's impressed me the most is really a surprise. It's not someone who I was expecting to be the most impressive. I'll say that in a second. I've been very impressed with the Japanese sailors. So Takara and Hayata Ishii have been sailing very well, um, as well as Takuma Sugi also looks really, really solid. So the three Japanese sailors, young Japanese sailors from the World Tour, have been really performing at a high level. Brazinho, as always, is really on point. But the person who's impressed me the most, and now this is a big name, so it might be surprising that it's someone who I'm surprised to be so impressed by, but it's Kai Lenny. And so Kai Lenny has a big name, high level, but he's been doing so many other sports that I felt like until now his windsurfing has lacked a certain polish or a certain je ne sais quoi that kept him out of the podium in previous years. But in the free sailing, I think his riding has been the most impressive. Uh, of all the riders. It's really interesting how he's put it together. His turns look really solid. If you followed my coaching, you know that I really like long, hard, drawn out rail turns over sort of slashy fin release turns. And Kai's doing these great, long, big, fast carves and combining it with the tricks. And so my money actually would be on Kai. Of course, I'm also in it. I'm also going for the title, but yeah, for who's impressed me the most, it would have to be Kai Lenny. I'm very, very impressed. All right, Ragnar in the chat, who's going to be watching the Aloha Classic. Owen in Hamburg, moin moin. We got Axel in the south of Germany. Max in Liverpool. Too windy today. How often does that happen? We got Matt also in the UK. 3-4 full on. Christoph says also very windy in Santa Cruz. 4 full days. Awesome. That's pretty cool. We got Jorg in Sweden, who's also going to be watching the Aloha. Moin to Rasmus in Hamburg, and Mark also in Sweden, who had a session. We got Harold, and Rasmus says that Kai's new board looks very different and working well. Yeah, looks set up. Everything's looking really solid. We got Andre Boda in Guatemala, and he had one light wind session and the shove it exercise. Pretty cool. So I give you guys a little overview of what I've been working on, getting ready for the competition, and then we'll get into the Facebook group. So I've been trying to get my board set up and working on fin positioning and everything. And it's been difficult getting comfortable with all my setup here. It's been such a busy year, different things, and my favorite boards have been repaired so many times. Like, this is a dirty secret of Hokipa Pro windsurfing. You get some favorite boards and you hang on to them forever. I was talking to Camille Juban, and the board that he always sails the Aloha Classic on is like a 13-year-old board. and he gets it repainted and repaired. And as you can see from mine, I haven't had it repainted, but it's had plenty of repairs, and I've had to replace the fin boxes, and then I had to figure out where the fins needed to go with the new boxes, because the boxes were in slightly different positions, and I had to move the foot strap inserts, like all of these changes to the board. And so this is one of my magic boards, and trying to figure out how to set it up again has been a challenge. And I have another board that is a copy of a different magic board. And whenever you're making copies of boards, they almost never work. And so it's a new board. You've got to figure out how it works. And so I went through that process of figuring it out, and finally did get it figured out. I'm having a lot of fun on that other board. All right, I'm going to load up the Facebook group. If you guys have any questions about this Maui footage, we can talk about it. Just ask those questions in the chat, and we're going to get the Facebook group up and going. All right. Let's go. Newest posts first. We got first up is Ragnar. He says, port tack at Toro Stenstrad last Sunday. And sorry, just getting my thing set up. Smaller board, port tack, forgets to move the backhand forward during the cutback. How to unlearn that. I mean, putting the backhand forward on the cutback, what happened there? Something's going weird with my browser. I don't know why that didn't. So putting the front hand forward on the backhand forward on the cutback is something that's helpful, but it's also not 100% necessary. The other components of the turn are more important. And if we're looking at then final refinements, yeah, that's something to really focus on. What is most important in setting up for the cutback is getting the sail across the body, that like S with the front arm that we talk about. And that will do more to set you up for the top turn than anything else. And it often will move the hands together for you. So that would be something to focus on. And so what do I mean by that? It means taking this front hand and moving it to your other shoulder. So you're moving the sail across your body. So if we load up my footage, okay, it's different, different wind angle, all of that stuff. But let's get back to my footage, and let's look at, let's get a cutback here. Somewhere in the beginning here, there's a cutback. That's a back loop off the lip. Here, this should be a cutback. No, that's a 360. I thought I landed this one. And then, I don't know, I just felt weird. All right, but this next wave should be one with a turn. So you can see that as I'm coming into the cutback, I'm coming out of the bottom turn, and this front hand moves across the body. And that helps set up the sail and the body for the cutback. So here it is more extreme. You see that motion? Like, look how forcefully I've moved that front hand from here, where it's way on this side of my body, to just before the turn, it's way on the other side of the body, right? So I'm really moving that sail across the body, and that will bring your hands closer together, and it also sets you up for the cutback, sets you up for the position of doing a good, powerful cutback. So if we go back to Ragnar's footage and we watch it again, what we see is that, okay, the hands are not moving closer together, but also the sail's very static. And so if you think about moving that sail across your body before you go into the cutback, you'll do a much more dynamic cutback, and you'll probably automatically put the hands closer together. So it's sort of two birds with one stone. So that would be how I would think about moving the backhand forward during the cutback, which is not to think of it at all. It's to think of that other motion with the front hand where you're bringing the sail across the body. All right, next up, we've got a question from Samuli, who says, what do we expect from the live Aloha Classic in terms of live stream? Is it the Windsurfing TV truck driver live stream, or are we going to hear something from the organizers? Good question. I don't know. Good question. We'll have to wait and see. All right, next up, we got Andre Bode, who says, not much sailing these weeks. He finally had some time to review the footage from his 7-week San Carlos trip. San Carlos is one of the best places to windsurf in the world. It is magic, absolutely magic. I want to go back there, and I would like to do some coaching there. It's difficult to go, or at least harder than it was in the past, but Solo Sports was set up. So speaking of wins, Andre did his first 10 aerial attempts. San Carlos is one of the best places in the world to learn aerials. And yeah, awesome. I'm so happy that you had it good. And we've got some video feedback, some questions about what to focus on to land the aerials. And let's watch the video, and then I'll talk about some tips with the aerials. I've got an issue with, I don't know what it looks like for you guys, but I try to make this full screen and it doesn't work. There we go. Okay, so this is a photo sequence. Okay, looking solid. Looks like maybe you fall at the end. If you do fall, the reason is the board goes flat, and that is what's allowing it to slide out instead of carving around. And a lot of it has to do with being really upright. And so getting low, like sitting down as you do the cutback, will stop that. So here you are getting low in the recovery, but we want to be lower as we go through the turn. So it looks like here you're kind of low, but then standing up, like pushing off the lip. And we want to be strong and kind of locked in with the legs. And it's not that we're straightening the legs. It's more like we're really holding that bent knee position and slamming the board into the lip. And then that will create what we want. Oh, you guys don't see the screen. Okay, hold on. Why is that not working? All right, there we go. So, all right, we're on the second one. All right, here we go. So good job finding the corner pockets. Good job staying low here. You're just a little bit too early. So it's really important when you're hitting the corner pockets that you get the bottom of the board between your feet lined up with the lip. So you're getting that high five. And here you're just a little bit mistimed, right? So the corner pocket high five section is more like right here or a little bit later. It's just a little bit off with the placement and the timing. And so then you're not getting the push from the wave. It's just that simple. So tips for landing the aerials back inside. Why is that not working? I don't know why that's not working. Okay. We're going to leave this here. Hopefully it keeps working. You guys let me know in the chat if it stops working. So I guess you didn't even see that whole sequence. So the high five section is here. And so your timing or placement is a little bit off. So if you were later, that section will have moved down. Or if you, probably the better solution is to aim for this section. So you want to make sure that you're hitting the high five you're hitting that corner pocket, getting the high five flat of your board between your feet, boom. And that will transfer the energy of the wave into your board. Whereas here, we're just a little bit off from that section. Something with this footage, we can see that you're starting to stand up off the lip, standing up and sheeting in a little bit. And what we want to do is, for this kind of cutback, unless you're going for more of an aerial, really keep the knees bent and legs strong and keep the sail open. And that will allow the board to carve as it goes off the lip. For the aerials, something that can be really helpful is to think about projecting down the line. So instead of hitting the aerial and projecting into the beach, that's something that I see a lot of people do. That causes the rig to spin. You're not getting as much height. But if you think about projecting down the line, so still in front of the wave, so you have to be aiming in front of the wave, but you're aiming at a part way down the line where you're looking to land instead of right in front. So you're not trying to do a 90-degree turn off the lip. That will be really helpful. But otherwise, if you have some video of your aerial attempts or photos, even if it's not the landed ones, um, or I guess are these both aerial attempts? If that's the case, then we can talk about these with respect to aerials. I thought these were not aerial attempts, but look, reading the comment again, it looks like they are. So, okay, if that's the case, then this one, the placement and the timing is just a little bit off. So this is a good section for it, but you need to be here where the curl is. You want to fit inside that curl. And then on this one, okay, so let's look at this as an aerial. This one is maybe a little bit late. So the wave is not curling anymore. It's more of a whitewater section. So both of these, I would say the main issue more than anything else is the timing. And it's getting that timing that is going to make the difference for you. And you really want to find that curl and fit your board inside the curl to get the projection. But mostly everything else looks solid. I would say that it's the timing. So like this section is difficult to do an aerial on because you don't have that curl of the lip pushing forward. And this section you do, but you're just not quite in it. So hopefully that helps. But the aerial is a lot about placement and timing, really a lot about placement and timing more than anything else. We got Axel in cold Hawaii, unfortunately with an injured foot. Sorry to hear that. All right. We got Walter saying that there's a high surf advisory on Maui. Yeah, the waves were huge. And here's some video of the conditions. We've got Ryan, and this is footage from Monday, and he's trying to improve. He's got a wobble in his bottom turns at 35 seconds. He seems off balance. What is happening there? So let's watch this footage. Um, this looks like Maui. Beautiful long wave. This is not Hakipa. Looks like Aloha on Maui. Beautiful. Look at all these turns. This is like a 100-turn wave. Look at that. Boom. This is great. I mean, there's not that much to critique. I mean, if we're trying to really work on the technique, okay, there are things we can get into, and I can do some of that. But what an awesome series of wave rides. I mean, this is like a 10-turn wave. It's really cool to see this too, because I think some people think of Maui as being just Okipa, but there's so much more there. I love the rhythm of this wave going from turn to turn to turn. All right. So something about the bottom turn that could be helpful is getting more bend at the waist and more distance with the sail. The sail looks pretty close to the body, and that's causing you to stand up more. So you're more upright. And if you're getting more distance with the sail and leaning away from it, you're going to be more on the rail. I mean, it looks like it's working pretty well for you. Let's. So generally, this is a position we want to avoid, where the body's upright, the hips are pushed forward, and there's a lot of ankle flex. It's better to have less ankle flex, more bend at the waist, and the body leaned over more to get you what you want. So like the biggest thing that would help is getting more bend at the waist. So right now there's very little base waist bend. There's a lot of ankle flex. And the waist bend will allow you to get more weight over that center line, do a harder carving back. Um, in order to get into that position, you probably are gonna have to push the sail away from you more. But I really like this bottom turn cutback combination. I mean, upright, you're close to the sail, you're coming quite tight, you're getting right into that corner pocket, high 5 section. There's really a lot to like there. Alright, let's watch this one, 35 seconds. This is the one that you said there's a bounce, and there we see it. There's the bounce. So let's look at this, let's break this down. So here we're going to the turn. Similar kinda setup where there's really a lot of ankle flex, not much waist, and the sail's close to the body. So what I would work on is trying to break this habit, and so pushing the sail away in the bottom turn and bending at the waist and using your body weight more than the sail to get um, the turn to work. Because we don't want to be in this position in the bottom turn where we're really leaning back. There's a lot of twist in your body from your feet to your shoulders. Um, you're making it work. Like these turns look nice, but they'll be better and easier if you hit these other like, fundamental body mechanics. I'll follow up with this on the chat, and we can continue talking about this wave or this style in the Facebook group. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting, interesting, interesting. I would also like to see this from another angle. But generally, we really want to get that distance. So here, I'll show you my footage again, um, just because it's a good example. You can see. So where was that wave with the turns? Here. We can look at both these turns. So the sail, even though I'm sheeted in, is not very close to the body. And I mean, this isn't the hardest bottom turn I've done in my life, but you can see there's quite a bit of waist bend, and the body's getting really over the center line of the board. It's not upright. And that is very, very important for then keeping all of that speed and carving up the face of the wave. All right, let's get back to the Facebook group. Hopefully that all makes sense. All right. Jared says he sailed today and forgot to put the plug in his board. Oh no. It's a 2017 Goya Custom Pro, brutal vibe after an awesome session. Yeah. So there's some tips here from other people. The two things that I've done when I've had similar experiences, I don't think I've ever forgotten to put in the plug, but I've had situations where the plug leaks or the mass track delaminates, and so then it's sucking in water. So I've had very similar situations where a lot of water is going in that part of the board. And the two different solutions that I've done, one is routing out the section where the water has come in. So you would go to a shaper or do it yourself, where you route out the glass, take it out, so you see like a big rectangle of the foam. You can see how wet it is, and put it in an oven. So a lot of like the shapers will have like an oven for curing, and you can put it in there and it will dry out. And the other thing you can do is you drill a hole in the nose and the tail, and you spin it, and then the water will get pushed out. But looks like there's some other solutions as well for getting water out of boards. So it's definitely fixable. It depends how much water actually went in, how bad it will be, but it's definitely fixable. What we want to watch out for is delamination in the future, and if it starts to go soft, then you want to get that fixed, and they'll cut out the glass, remove the dead foam, put in some kind of filler, and glass it again. Max asks, am I pushing down on the boom in the bottom turns to hold the rail? Not really. It's a lot more with my feet and the body, and then this sail is more just being pushed away from me. So there's the sail's not doing that much, and you don't want the sail to do that much. Um, you can then bring the sail in to help you, but you don't want to rely on the sail in the beginning to initiate and make the bottom turns work, because then it will get in the way of what your body needs to do. It's one of the most common issues and one of the most difficult things to get over in wave riding. All right, we got a question from Lorenzo about boots, and I use the Aton split toe boots, but there's a lot of other recommendations. I don't use boots a lot, so the other comments are definitely more informed than I am. So a lot of good information here about boots. 41 comments. All right, here is a post. This is like what I'm talking about with the bottom turn. You don't need to sheet in to do a powerful bottom turn. The most important thing is getting the waist bend and then getting the body weight over the center line of the board. So like this picture shows, right? Like I'm fully sheeted out, but because I'm in this position, which is a position that's a lot closer to what I would be in if I was surfing without a sail, this is similar to my bottom turn position on a surfboard. I'm really able to get that rail engaged. You can see how engaged the rail is, and do a hard carving bottom turn, but without sheeting in at all. You can sheet in. So like I would have liked it actually if I was sheeting in more here, which then is maybe a little bit more aesthetic and can get a little bit more like power from the sail into the rail, but it's not necessary. And if you're focusing on doing that first, then that motion of pulling is opposite to that motion of leaning forward and pushing. And so if you're focusing on that, then it sets you up incorrectly and you end up too upright and not pushing enough. And so if you really focus on the pushing aspect of the bottom turn rather than the pulling aspect, you'll have a much better bottom turn. So Ryan, this is, I think, also maybe something interesting for you. So instead of thinking about pulling in on the sail, just think about pushing everything. You're pushing the sail away from you. You're pushing your upper body forward. You're pushing on the board, pushing on your toes, pushing everything forward, putting the sail forward. And then once you get that really working well, then you can incorporate some pulling with the pushing. But the core of the bottom turn is pushing, and that can be supplemented with certain pulling motions. But if you're focusing on the pulling first, then the pushing is super hard. All right, next up, we've got some more Aloha Classic footage that Stefan posted with some unedited Hokipa videos. That's cool. All right, Jamie wants to know what the wave setup for a push loop is, please. Does it need to be as steep as a back loop ramp? Yes, push loops are easier to learn off of a steep wave, very similar to a back loop wave. Once you get good at push loops, you can do them off more rounded waves than back loops. So it's not like a forward ramp. This is not correct from John. I mean, you can do forwards off of any ramps. And like one of the best tips I received years and years ago when I was learning to do high forwards was to look for back loop ramps to do the stalled forwards, because then you get all of that height up and it's easy to get the sail neutral, get on top of everything, spin it around and land. But yeah, push loop's definitely easier with a steeper ramp in the beginning. It doesn't need to be as steep as the back loop ramp, but definitely easier with a steep ramp. And then once you can do the rotation, you can take them to more rounded ramps. All right, we are caught up. I am going to say goodbye. See you next week, Sunday. Between now and then, there are going to be some Aloha Classic heats. I will be competing in it. Do you want to know more about the event? Are you curious about any of the inside information? If so, post those questions in the Facebook group, and I will do the best I can to type out some answers. If you want other kinds of things like, I don't know, interviews or some behind the scenes video, I can also try and do that as well. Let's see. I mean, I'm going to be pretty busy focusing on my own stuff, but let me know. We got a question from Max. He says, do you think the Aloha Classic will have jumps this year? Good question. And I think, so my personal opinion is that the Aloha Classic should never have jumps, even if it's windy. And my reasoning for that is that if you sit and watch on a really windy day, like it's been really windy, guys have been on 4.5s fully planing, and it's like logo high waves, like all the last days, and you watch for 2-3 hours. These are some of the best jumpers in the world. You have Marcilio Brown, you have Victor Fernandez, you've got all of these guys. And you watch for 3 hours straight, you're not going to see a single jump. And that's because in order to set up for jumps at Hokipa, you have to be more upwind. You're in a different spot. You're out of the rhythm of catching the waves. And so if we're focusing on the wave riding, the jumps gets in the way of that. So my personal opinion is that we have other places in the world that are really good for jumping, and let's make those the jumping events. Hokipa can also be really good for jumping, but if we're focusing on wave riding, let's focus on wave riding and not include jumps. That said, I'm not the head judge. I'm not the one making the decisions. So I don't know. Maybe it will have jumps. Bujma is the head judge. I guess he'll make that decision. So let's see. Ragnar wants to see some behind the scenes gossip. Axel, is it a single or a double? They're going to do a dingle. So the people who are putting on the event, coming from the IWT side, they hate singles and doubles. They hate them with a passion. I don't understand it. I love singles and doubles. I think it's a great way to compete, but they hate them. So we're going to do a dingle. Owen wants some interviews and insights. All right, I'll try and get my cameras and stuff set up with some mics and all the above. Also, I am going to, right now, as soon as I log off this, put up the applications for Morocco 2025. So the dates for Morocco 2025 are set. There will also be a training camp in Portugal in May, but those details are not confirmed. So if you're interested in that, it's coming, but it's not ready yet to announce. But the dates for Morocco are ready. Hold on, I've got them on my phone. I will tell you them in a second. And the applications are going to go live later today. So look out for that in the Facebook group. That's the first place it will be posted. We had a great time in Morocco this year. I'll post some video from that. I already have, but I'll post even more in the next few days. I'm just trying to find the dates. I have them on my phone. So it looks like the dates are going to be June 8th to 14th for week 1, and we'll do a second week, June 15th to 21st. I believe those are the dates. I will, looking at this, I don't see a day between, so there might need to be a tweak there, but pretty sure those are the dates, and everything will be clear in the applications. That's going to go live later today. So if you want to apply for Morocco, look out for that application. We got a question from Tomas about where in Portugal. So Tomas, the plan is to do it in Cascais, so right next to Guincho, and there's a gym there that we can collaborate with, a very nice gym, and it will be, the focus of that masterclass will be on physical training, mental training, getting ready for the season, just distributing as much information as we can about how to train, how to prepare mentally, how to get set up for the season. And then the plan is to do a 3-day course. I'll be collaborating with a fitness professional for the fitness side, and then I'll be doing the mental side, and we'll hopefully get in the water in Ginshu as well. But the focus is on the fitness and the mental preparation. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I hope you have a windy week. Remember to post your Aloha Classic questions in the Facebook group and any other windsurfing question as well. If you're interested in applying for the Morocco Masterclass, watch out for the applications, which are going to go live later today. All right, everyone. Have a good windy week. Bye-bye.